Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
And we're coming to you live from Boulder Creek, California, or at least I am. Last week we were in Maui, and Mrs. Future is somewhere else on the planet right now, but I think we have her on the line here. Say hello from Portugal.
Hello, Future.
All right.
We're in the Algarve region. I'm here with my sister. We've been having a blast. Today we went out and saw some cenotes and some caves and some dolphins in the beautiful Algarve region of Portugal. Very amazing place.
I understand that Portugal is very Mediterranean, and it kind of looks a little bit like Santa Cruz. Is that true?
Yes, Portugal is absolutely the California of Europe. It looks a lot like just outside of Los Angeles where we are.
Oh, more SoCal, more SoCal kind of look.
Yeah. Where we are is very south, and it's very dry and desertish. It's supposed to be warm, but of course the seasons are changing, so it's not that warm. It's in the 60s and 70s.
Kind of sounds a little bit like
wonderful, actually.
Is it like Kihei? We were just in Kihei in Maui last week.
It's not like Kihei. It's not quite as warm as Kihei. It's kind of like Santa Cruz. The water is just about 2 degrees warmer than Santa Cruz. We splashed. We got our feet wet, but have no desire to go swimming in it.
Oh, so it's not Hawaii water.
No.
It's more like NorCal. Do they surf there too?
Well, we asked someone about surfing, and she said that some local has opened up a surf school just because he's enthusiastic about surfing, but the problem is that there's no waves to surf. So that's what our tour guide, we took a tour out to visit the dolphins. We saw a beautiful school of bottlenose dolphins that are very common down here.
Oh, yeah.
That's what our guide told us about the surfers.
Oh, man. Is it all dry? Is it all like Southern California?
Well, I mean, it's the desert until you get to the ocean. It's really a lot like LA. I would say that the climate, you could film here and make it look like you were in LA, just in the mountains outside.
Cool.
You know? Some
people may be wondering why you're there and I'm here.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're wondering that too, aren't you?
I kind of like it here. It's really nice. We live in a nice part of the planet. Yeah.
We do. And the more places you visit, the more you realize what a beautiful destination place Santa Cruz is. Coming here makes me realize just what a beautiful planet we have. And it's wonderful to see it from new eyes, from a new point of view, just by being in a place where people speak a different language, you have a different kind of food. We are doing a driving trip, and I have to say that freeways are the great leveler. Wherever you are, if you're driving, you're part of the modern world. You know, you're driving through something that has a history, but you're seeing it through the window, you know?
But you can stop. Go to the rest areas and look at the lookouts. And
we have been taking in the beauty here. We've been walking a lot. We've been going to places that are renowned for their features. The caves here, I've never seen anything like it. Miles and miles of the coast are dotted with these wonderful caves, some of which you can only get to by boat or by swimming to them. And of course, the water is green. The water is that beautiful green blue that you see in Hawaii.
Yeah.
The water is gorgeous. It's the Atlantic Ocean. It's very rough. It's very rugged. And you have to get out early if you want to do anything. And I've been told that you have to be a really strong swimmer if you want to swim here. Most people use boats.
What about the beaches? They have any nice beaches like we have in
Gorgeous beaches. Yeah. And in fact, that's one of the things that's so fun is that all of the beaches, you discover them inside of these giant rock walls. And some of them you have to swim through holes in the cave. One of the beaches, it was called Hidden Beach because it didn't have an entrance to it. And the fishermen liked this beach so much that they spent a generation digging a tunnel from the beach next door through the mountain that was separating it out.
Oh,
So
man.
now you can crawl
It's
50
commitment.
meters through a tunnel from the beach that you could access to the one that used to not be accessible.
Oh, too cool.
So,
wow.
yeah. Yeah. And every beach has a story. We were going by one that has these giant, you know how at natural bridges, there are these beautiful rock formations that have just been made by the wind and the water and time.
Yeah. That's,
so there's
Panther
tons
Beach,
of those
especially.
here.
Yeah.
So one of them here, they call the submarine because it looks like it's got the ballast of a submarine. Is that what you call it? The part that's sticking up? It's got a big base, and then it's got the top of the submarine sticking up.
The conning tower.
And so when we were passing by in the boat, they got the whole boat just saying, "We all live in a yellow submarine." It was pretty fun. We're driving an Ibiza. That's the kind of car that we rented.
There's a car called an Ibiza.
Yeah.
Now, you were just in Ireland, and you're driving on the other side of the road. Now you're driving back on the left side of the road.
Yeah. I tell you, it's hard to keep up. I got pretty proficient at driving on the other side of the road in Ireland, which at first was really scary.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of chances to practice because my sister, she hurt her foot. And so we were kind of expecting her to do most, if not all, of the driving.
Guess who get the drive?
But instead, I got to help.
Oh, man. Was it automatic? Because usually the Europeans like manual shifting.
Yeah, we have automatics. We had to really hold out for when we came to Portugal and didn't have an automatic. They wanted to give us a manual, and we insisted that we got an automatic because my sister's foot is a little dangerous, or it's a little hurt. And it doubled the price of the rental car to get an automatic.
Doubled? So, oh, my God.
Doubled the price.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what are the prices there? How do they compare to California?
Comparable. Yeah. I think food is about the same. I think the hotel rooms, we're not necessarily finding anything that much cheaper.
Well, so the world is pretty more.
They certainly know how to price it for Americans. If not, maybe that's all they're doing is just giving us American prices.
You're on the American circuit. Yeah. Hard currency.
No, but I mean, even in the grocery stores and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like it's remarkably cheap. It seems pretty comparable.
Mm-hmm. No, part of the backstory is that your sister's a marathon runner and you're hang with her. She runs in various parts of the world. How do you run with a broken foot?
You don't. She didn't run, and she was very disappointed. And I actually walked with her as far as she could.
Oh.
And she was going to walk to the half marathon point, but she was in pain, and she was using these hiker poles that you use. And she had to be very, very careful how she positioned her foot because the sprain is kind of on the top. It's not her ankle. It's kind of like you can just have some positions that send shooting pains up your foot, but some of the positions are comfortable.
Yeah.
So it really depended on whether the road was flat or not. And so she just gave it her best shot. And we got about 5 miles before she was feeling like she probably needed to think about getting a ride back. They call it the sweep. The sweep is what they do if you haven't finished your run and they have to reopen the road, like the time allotment.
You have a certain amount of time before the traffic.
So she was planning to do the sweep. We walked for about 3 hours and we got about 5 miles, which was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then the event gave us a ride back because it was a place where the cars couldn't go if she kept going further. And she didn't want to be stuck out there having to walk back.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't blame her. Yeah. Has it been healing okay? What are you going to do in Portugal?
Slowly. Yeah. Mostly it's just a really bad bruise, but it requires rest.
Yeah.
And we've been doing anything but resting. I mean, I think that the least amount of miles that we've walked is about 5 miles every day.
Oh, so you're still getting that 5 miles in. That's great. Right.
Yeah, we're getting the 5 miles in, and we're doing beautiful hikes. We went to the Giant's Causeway. That was a beautiful hike. We've gone.
That's in Ireland. That's the Irish.
That was in Ireland. Yeah, we did. I didn't make a list, so don't ask me. It's late at night here.
No, I say what I was most impressed with your photographs. playing with the falcons and the birds.
Oh, yes. My niece was so excited to do what we had heard was just a wonderful thing to do, which was there is the Irish School of Falconry near the Ashford Castle, near a town called Cork. We spent a morning with a trained falconer. They have at the school, they've got about 25 trained falcons, and these falcons, they live maybe 20 plus years. And so we had a couple of falcons and a big falcon glove and one of their lifetime human partners
From around here.
And they taught us that when you do falconry, you're actually partnering with the bird and helping it hunt. So you're kind of their human. Teamwork. And they expect you to go flush the animal out of the bush if necessary and keep them safe. And it was really interesting to learn about these wild animals that are bred to hunt with people.
And they take cues from you too?
Yeah, there's gestures in the way that you hold your arm with the glove that communicate whether the falcon should come to you or not. And we just learned a few things like that.
I guess they're very sharp-eyed, so their visual senses.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Well, very interesting. You're not planning to take it up or anything, are you?
I don't expect to have a falcon of my own anytime soon. It was very nice to meet these birds, but it's a lifestyle. If you wanted to be a falconer, you would have to really cultivate a relationship with them. And,
yeah, right. No, I was thinking more of how the AIs will interact with them in the future. Because here's a case where we actually have a relationship between an animal. It's kind of like guide dogs with the blind. There's a communication between them where we work together in synergy, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I really like that aspect of this school of falconry is that they really respect the birds and their wildness, and they treat them as humans are partnering with them for something that they do naturally. Yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah.
So what's next? I heard you're going on a sacred journey, that there's a walk that's around Spain and Portugal that you're thinking of going on.
For the last 6 days, we're going to walk the 100 kilometers of the Camino de Campela de Santiago, something like that. Yeah. And it's a traditional pilgrimage that's been around for 500 years since the locals discovered, they discovered the bones of St. James, the apostle, I guess, in a church in Santiago. And it just became a religious tradition for people to walk from wherever they were to Santiago. And I learned at the place where we were doing the marathon, which was a place called Dingle in Ireland, that Dingle is the origin of the Irish Camino. When you walk from Ireland, you actually get on a boat in Dingle, and they have their own St. James Cathedral there, or St. James Church. And that one of the traditions is to go from St. James in Dingle via boat to Santiago, where the bones of St. James are buried. And that's one of the traditional pilgrimages.
But it's more than 5 miles, though. No?
Irish people do. Well, the trek is considered to be a sacred journey, and 100 kilometers is what is the minimum that they consider to be a pilgrimage. So they'll give you a certificate if you complete 100 kilometers from the church.
So is that the goal? You going to do it?
Well, I'm with people who are very committed to doing it. So
I guess so.
I'm up for the challenge.
So, you won't be back next week. So I guess we'll check in on you and see how it's going at that point.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you a progress report if I can.
Okay.
I don't know how the internet is going to be once we start walking.
Oh, yeah.
Probably fine. Every place we've been, the world is very modern.
Yeah.
There's no hidden pockets of retro.
Well, this is Europe. It's supposed to be second only to us in terms of technology.
Yeah, exactly. Europe is very modern, everything that you would expect to find in any place that we have ever been. But it has, a thousands of year old history that's really obvious. Like the stones are parts of forts that were built 1,000 years ago or more.
Yeah. A little history. Other than that, it's the same. Well, language, of course.
Well, the freeways are, like I said, the freeways are very familiar.
Yeah.
Here in Portugal, it's easy to drive.
They actually,
although they use roundabouts.
Oh yes, well, everyone seems to use roundabouts these days. We even have them here. I mean, John Dvorak's been complaining about them and being installed in Berkeley. So they're.
I think they're great.
No more four-way stops.
When you've got a lot of people, at a stop sign can be very slow, and with roundabouts, you move through a lot of people a lot faster.
Yeah.
We have one right here in Hidden Valley Lake. It's the major feature of this
that's
Lake
right.
County.
Oh, we're talking to Bruce McHenry, who's stepped in a little bit early just to, because he's actually a transportation expert. He's been studying transportation for a long time. So roundabouts, circles, seems like the future.
Well, they have a much lower accident rate and much less severe accidents because those are glancing blows when they do happen. And better throughput. So they win all around. They do take more land. You've got to have that, unless you do something with that thing in the middle.
Yeah.
But you can make very small. I mean, there are these four-way intersections all over California where, frankly, I treat them like a roundabout. Always did on rollerblades, but I do on a car too. And in Santa Monica, I never got ticketed. I'd roll through them at 15 miles an hour routinely. Foster City.
Well, I would agree. I like them. It's just a lot of people don't know how to use them. We had one friend coming to visit us at our family beach house, and she managed to get 2 flat tires going around the roundabout. I still haven't figured it out exactly how she did it. But
well, if you go off the edge of the road, you're prone to pick up things that can.
And I guess it depends on what you put in the center of the circle too, how car friendly that is.
Oh, there's usually a bump there just to discourage driving over it at highway speeds.
That's it. Okay, son. Well, thank you for your update. We'll check in hopefully next week. We have some bandwidth there.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
So you just, you know, you can just hang on there, and I will actually, Bruce, I think I put 2:20 down for our town when we're supposed to get together.
Oh, 2:20.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I didn't realize that the show went on so long now.
Yeah, no, we've got a big report on Apple yesterday. We're going to do
my God. Well, I want to listen to that. I'll be muting. And
sure, no worries.
Do you have Tim Baharan showing up for that?
We got Taylor Barcroft showing up, who's been an Apple nerd since the very beginning. And son, thank you. Thank you for being here. And if you have anything to say, love you, and chime in when you want. And
love you, son.
Yeah, love you, and much love.
Thanks. Love you guys too.
Yeah,
you're the best.
You and Portugal.
You and Therese have a blast.
Can't believe you walk those distances.
Yeah,
we do. It's awesome.
I'm lucky to get 2 miles in and before I'm completely wrecked.
All right. Well, I'll just be listening.
Okay. So I'm going to play a commercial first, then we'll come back to Taylor.
Okay, so Bruce, you're going to mute. I don't want an interruption, Bruce.
I'll just mute and listen.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, good. Listen, I'm going to play a commercial, and then we'll be right back for this.
About that first impression. Hi, this is Bettina McBee from Bettina's Buzz on SantaCruzVoice.com. And that first impression is my business card created by Dynamic Press. It is my favorite business card. It gets everybody's attention right away. If you want to make a good first impression, get your business cards and any printed media at Dynamic Press. And tell Angelo Bettina sent you.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
I'm Kevin Donovan, the owner of Cypress Coast Fence, Monterey Bay Area's premier fence company.
And I'm Katie Donovan, Kevin's sister. I'm one of the project coordinators. I'll help you choose the best fence for your needs, and I'll be with you for every step of the project.
We work with local suppliers and employ quality craftsmen to build the right fence to secure, protect, or privatize your property. We've been in business for 15 years and have been voted best fence company for 7 years running.
Give us a call for your no-obligation consultation at 831-783-1500 or at cypresscoastfence.com.
We don't just build fences, we make good neighbors.
Deer fence, wood fence, livestock chain link, vinyl, iron fence, Cypress Coast Fence, Cypress Coast Fence.
Hi, folks. How many of you out there love to garden? Wouldn't it be nice to grow some of your own food? Or maybe a flower garden would brighten your day. All you need is the Knox Garden Box, a heavily constructed, portable, elevated garden on legs that can virtually change the way you've gardened in the past. The Knox Garden Box can be set up anywhere. Yes, you can place it right on concrete at knoxgardenbox.com. That's KNOX, gardenbox.com.
We are back, and Sun is listening quietly in the background in Portugal. Bruce McHenry's in the lineup, and on deck is Taylor Barcroft, who has been our Apple aficionado and tracker since I've known him, like in the early 80s. McBriefs, I think, was your name of your first publication. We worked at Mondo 2000, all kinds of things, some desktop video. And now Apple did a big announcement yesterday, and we're going to go through that a little bit with Taylor. So welcome to the show, Taylor Barcroft.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've seen it all, right?
I've got, you want me to take off? Okay, I've ordered the cover.
Yeah,
I've ordered the case for my watch. I've ordered the covers for my phone. I've already ordered the watch, and I'm ordering the phone on Friday. We've got to timestamp this. Okay. This is just afternoon. It's 1:30 p.m. Pacific on September 10th, right before the presidential debate.
Yeah.
We have to wait till Friday the 13th of September to order the phones in the morning at 5 a.m. Pacific or 8 a.m.
Really?
Eastern time.
So you get to order on Friday the 13th? It sounds like a good
well, Friday the 13th. Yeah. Remember, 13 is lucky. Now that we're in Swift land, Swift world or Swift zone, I'm a Swiftie. Yes. I'm a full-blown Swiftie now. I was not a Swiftie a year ago. I didn't even know who Taylor Swift was. At first, I admired her for athleticism, and then I finally wound up listening to her music, and wowee, what an incredible talent. Okay, don't want to go into that too much.
No, that's a huge reality.
So the point is that 13 is lucky. She was born on the 13th. She turned 13 on Friday the 13th.
Okay, so ordering your new watch on the 13th then totally
it's a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
All right. We'll find out.
Okay, so what is that? That's a 16 Pro Max. I'm not a salesman, okay? But I am old. I'm 77. So that means that I could die at any moment. So for that reason, I buy a new iPhone every year now that it's gone USB-C. I kept the XS Max for 5 years because I didn't want another phone with Lightning connectors.
That's the end of Lightning, USB-C,
it's the end of Lightning. There's two reasons that you should buy the new phone. One would be if you don't have an i15 Pro Max or Pro, because those are all legacy ports. They're all Lightning ports. You don't want a Lightning port in your phone.
Not anymore.
The reason that you don't want the base model of the 16 is because they're still the old USB 2 speed. They're ridiculously slow port. So you have to have the Pro or Pro Max 16 or 15 or 16 to have a proper speed USB 3.
Is it slow for just the standard iPhone 16? Is that this?
Yeah, it's still a 23-year-old USB 2.
So the Pro is the only models, the Pro and the Pro
Max.
The
Pro's the only way to go you get 20 gigabits per second. Anyway, that's part of it. So if you don't have a phone that says 15 or 16 on it, you're out of it. So just get it in your head. You've got to get a new phone this year.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's minimum. That's the minimum requirement there. This is USB-C. Now, why do you want USB-C? Because it opens up the expansion for everything, all kinds of peripherals. You can easily hook up Ethernet, dongles, and everything.
Androids are all USB-C too.
And the USB-C cables are much more all over the place. Yeah, the Androids, exactly. The Androids have been USB-C for many years.
Yeah. And I want to communicate better with my Android friends. I do.
Exactly. The other reason is because they added a camera capture button. To say it's a button is not giving it due justice. It's a control center for all kinds of camera controls. I can't really explain it briefly on the phone, but they have it on all 4 iPhone 16 models. It's not just to take a picture fast or anything. It adjusts focus and different kinds of bokeh and all kinds of different things that make it possible to manipulate the cameras in a much more sophisticated way than ever before.
Yeah. Hold on, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby's here.
Yeah, Bobby's here. All right. There he is. Yeah, okay. Let's take a second to bring Bobby in because he's probably been tracking this. His son is saying hi.
Can we hear him?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You sound. It can't hard to understand you, Bobby. I don't think.
I know last time.
Okay, so now that we've got Bobby, we've got the audio all screwed up. Perfect. What's going on, Bobby? Are you there, Bobby? Oh, your audio is terrible, Bobby.
Yeah, probably bandwidth issue.
Okay, well, before we lose all our audio.
Okay, let's go back to the iPhone event.
I just want to make sure that
you might have to turn off the visual, Bobby, in order to get better audio.
On the 16 Pro Max, the camera system is completely different. On the 16 and the 16 Plus, the camera system is like 3 years old. Mm-hmm. So if you really care about cameras, forget about the 16 and the 16 Plus. The processors are very similar, but there is an extra graphics core on the processor that's in the Pro and Pro Max. 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max. I don't want to go too much into detail because you can watch a lot of videos on YouTube that will completely fill you in on what's going on with the 16 Pro and Pro Max.
Hold on, Bobby, could you mute your microphone? We're hearing a lot of feedback.
Bobby, it's not working, so turn off the audio or disconnect or something. Mute yourself.
Yeah.
He muted himself. Okay. Everybody should watch the Max, MAXTECH. Those are 2 words. That's the channel on YouTube. You should subscribe to that channel, by the way. MAXTECH. Max is the first name. It's a family up in Spokane, Washington that delivers videos daily on all things Apple. I cannot recommend it enough because they do a fantastic job. They have a very sophisticated studio and they know everything Apple big time. And they buy all the Apple products and they review them in depth. So just do that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Max Tech on YouTube.
Yeah, MAXTECH. That's the channel on YouTube you want. I watch a lot of YouTube. I've got the YouTube channel on my TV with my Roku, and it's just a fantastic way to spend time on television.
I do too. I spend a lot of time on YouTube.
Okay, so let's move on to the watch. We got the Apple Watch SE, no changes.
SE?
We got the no changes till next year. Okay. Then we got the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Only thing they did was they didn't change the processor. It's still an S9 processor, and it's they added black. You can get a black one now. That's all they did. There's no Ultra 3. It won't be until next year for the Ultra 3. Okay, so the big star of the show, which they started with, what they led with, is the new Apple Watch Series 10. And what's so exciting about the Apple Watch Series 10 is it's the same old low price, but now it is a bigger screen than the Ultra. They widened the screen and they raised the screen and they beefed up the resolution.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
So, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm extremely excited about it. It will predict sleep apnea. It will let you know if you have sleep apnea.
46 millimeters, I think it was the size, right?
46. Well, yeah, but that's deceiving because the spec on the Ultra is 49 millimeters, and the screen on the 10 is bigger.
Okay, all right.
So you can't tell. You can't tell by the diagonal because they widened the 10. The Apple Watch 10 is widened.
Yeah.
Now, the sleep apnea feature is a software feature that also works on the Apple Watch 9 and the Ultra 2. So as long as it has an S9 processor or more, there's an S10 processor in the new Watch 10. But you'll still get that sleep apnea feature.
I know you just have to wear your watch when you go to bed. That's all, right? That's the price to pay for having sleep apnea.
Well, people like me wear their watch 24/7. There's no there's no downtime for the watch.
When do you charge it? Yeah, you have to charge it.
Yeah, but the charging time on the new watch, on the new Series 10, is only 30 minutes to get to 80%. And remember, on the new watches, on the 9 and the Ultra 2 and now the new 10, you have a setting in batteries under optimized battery. You can limit the charge to 80%. And that makes all the difference in the life of your battery. The watch will last forever if you turn that on. You won't have any problems with batteries failing.
80% charge. It's
an 80% charge, which is also in the new iPad, M4 iPad Pro. Yeah. So you've got to do that. Everybody go to optimize, or if you can't do that, you just have to monitor your charging and don't let it go above 80. I've got an iPhone 15 Pro Max that's got that setting. And it stops at 80 and I leave it plugged in 24/7 and my battery health is still 100%. So it's key.
Well, yeah, it's good. I mean, I have a problem with my iPad. I have to go to the Genius Bar on Friday.
Yeah, but that's the old iPad.
It's an M1.
There's no limit. Yeah, there's no limit on battery charging. I have the same iPad you have, and I haven't had that problem because I monitor the charging. I try not to let it go above 80,
Yeah.
And plug it in at 20.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the key.
Magic.
Charge between 20 and 80. That's the rule.
Yeah. But if
And
you're going
now
to get a new one every year, what difference does it make? I mean, sense.
You talking about the phone?
Yeah, the phone. Yeah, or the. I guess the iPad you don't get every year, but the phone. You do your phone at 80% too, right?
Okay. Well, why am I going to buy a phone every year, Taylor? Because I'm 77.
Yeah.
That means death is imminent.
So who cares about the battery if you're getting a new one every year? That's my only.
I care. I'm anal. I'm
Yeah.
anal, and plus the setting is there because the setting is
Yeah.
there.
Okay. All right.
I love it.
It's there.
because when it gets to it's plugged in all the time, and it says 80 and it stops right there at 80.
I like it. Programmed battery behavior. It's great.
Yeah, that's a feature that was put into the 15 Pro Max.
Yeah.
And going forward, and all the other products,
battery
including
saying
the watch and the Series 9 watch also. That's
the
a new
battery
feature.
saying, "If you love me, you treat me right."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it is possible you see these YouTube videos about how your battery's dead already, huh?
Well,
they never turned on that setting.
It's a viable thing. I live off the grid, so I have a bunch of batteries that charge the house, and the care and feeding and watering, I might add, of the batteries is very important. So it's nice that the batteries can tell you how they like to feed. It seems like all the machines.
Oh, yeah, you're pre-LiPo 4, right?
Yeah. However, what would be better is it charged only 80% and just leave it that way, right? So it does it itself.
I told you about that a year ago, and
My problem is
right?
I run out of power all the time, and I'm down to 10%, and very often, so I have to charge it.
Well, you're not leaving it plugged in then.
I do. I leave it plugged in, but then when I'm
but
away,
you're out and about a lot?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that is a problem.
Yeah, it's called usage.
Yeah. Yes, right. Now, in that case, you might want to go to 100 before you know you're going out.
I often do, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. But maybe I'll get
So
one
you
every
go in
year
and turn that setting off?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how's your health? What's the condition of your battery?
So far, so good. It's only a year, though. It's only a year.
All right. Anyway, the point of buying a new phone every year is because I'm going to die anytime, and I want to have a new phone. I want to have the current phone before death.
Yeah.
So that enjoying myself to the end.
Okay, well, what other health things are on the new?
Okay, yes, we got the sleep apnea detection, which is software, and that's in the 9 and the Ultra 2 also.
Yeah.
The big deal is rose gold is back.
Rose gold. Okay, that's really
rose gold is back. You get aluminum rose gold, or you can get titanium rose gold. It's shiny. It looks like steel, but it's titanium. They drop steel. So there's only two types of watches now. One is aluminum and the other one is titanium. And there's only 3 colors in each. There's a jet black aluminum. It looks like steel. It's super shiny. If you like black, you're good. There's also the silver aluminum, and the rose gold is back. And I love the rose gold. It's 9.7 millimeters thin. Remember, it's thinner than ever, even though they made it bigger. And the new speaker, get this, the speaker on the watch, you can play podcasts and stuff. You can play music. You can play whatever you want to play out of that speaker now. You no longer have to be hooked up with headphones.
Oh, so you
to play stuff on the watch.
Answer FaceTime calls, stuff like that? So,
yeah.
Just audio, I guess. But it's kind of like the Dick Tracy watch now. And that's
well, there's no camera yet, but I'm sure there eventually will be. Getting back to the charging, on the new Watch 10, Series 10, it charges to 80% in 30 minutes.
Wow, that's impressive.
You know, they never mention this setting where you can stop it at 80%. I don't understand why they don't brag about that. Nobody in marketing says anything about it, even though it's there. It's crazy. It's 2,000 nits, but uses a new type of OLED that is brighter when you're off axis. So when you're looking at your phone or your watch from an angle,
right,
it's still bright enough to see. And now they've got the processor, the S10 processor. The watch will display down to 1 nit. So it's no longer limited to the higher refresh rate. Anywhere from 60 all the way down to 1 nit.
Wow.
I mean, 1 nit on the brightness. When always on is on, you can still see the second hand move. When it goes dark, you know how it's always on, it goes dark. When it's always on, it goes dark. Up until now, the face would change and there would be no second hand. But now you can still see the second hand move. So I'm big on second hand. I'm big on knowing exactly what time it is down to the second.
Sure, yeah, no. I hear you. I've got some stories along those lines.
Exactly. There's also a new Tide app that tells you what the tides are at your local beach.
I look that up all the time when I'm walking on the beach. I'm always trying to guess, well, is it going in or out? And where is it now?
And now it's prominent on the watch. It's got waterproof. It measures water temperature and depth. and it goes down to 30 feet or 6 meters. That's it. They call it the snorkeling mode.
What about Apple Intelligence? Did that make any inroads?
Well, there's 4-core neural engine in the S10 processor. So there is room for a little bit of artificial intelligence.
And that's quite a bit more than last year, isn't it?
Yes, it was only one, the Series 9.
So 1 to 4.
And Ultra 2. Remember, the Ultra 2 still only has an S9 processor in it. There's no changes to the guts of the Ultra. Only the color changed.
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed about the intelligence is that Apple is mostly being presented as more of a private large language model operating behind the scenes to sort of improve existing apps and features. It seems to be more so. Well, the other companies like Google and Microsoft are touting AI as really the thing that separates them from the crowd. But Apple is more looking at it as a behind-the-scenes thing. But they're apparently launching something in beta in the fall that looks promising for the iPhone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A new era for Siri, they're calling it. A new era for Siri. So Siri's going to get an upgrade in her intelligence in the fall, apparently, at least according to TechCrunch.
Oh, great.
Yeah. They had the AirPods, too. Now, you're not a big fan of AirPods because you can get something a lot less expensive that does the same thing, right?
Right. I use the Anchor Soundcore headphones, and I love them. And I had a really bad experience with the AirPods early on.
The first generation?
I did not like them at all. And I thought they were terrible. And I thought the very low fidelity. And I've never tried another one because they're so expensive, unnecessarily expensive.
Right.
You can get all those features for less than $100 from Anchor with the Soundcore. Yeah. Why spend hundreds when you only just spend like a couple of score?
But theoretically, they're supposed
$40
to have new features that stand out, like spatialized.
Well, yeah,
audio.
they added a hearing aid feature that old people might like.
That's true. I appreciate that. Now, like,
whether they get damaged or not.
Yeah, I actually lost some of my hearing from swimming so much in the last month. So I kind of went through the whole process of losing my hearing and getting it back, which has been a real blessing to have it come back. Thanks, Dr. Dan, for helping me with that. Hearing is a big deal when you don't have it.
That's right. I'm ignoring all those warnings.
Apparently, a fairly sophisticated hearing aid built into the iPods where you're able to adjust the frequencies and contour the sound to suit your sensibilities, which I'd like to try. It sounds very interesting. Maybe you can enhance your hearing in some ways. Anyway,
well, if you buy them from Amazon, I think you have up to 30 days to return them.
30 days. Okay. Well, there you go.
By the way, the watches are already on Amazon.
Are they? Really? So you're going to order them from there, or are you going to go directly?
No, I already ordered it from Apple. I wanted to make sure I got it on Friday the 20th.
Okay.
I'm ordering the phone on Friday to get that on the 20th as well. They start delivering them on the 20th. They'll be in the stores on the 20th of September.
Okay. So to recap, that and the phones are the most exciting announcements.
Yeah, so the 16 Pro Max, I'm getting the 1 terabyte. Oh, they didn't raise the limit on storage. It's still only 1 terabyte for $1,600. So
$1,600 for the phone.
It's $1,200 for 256, $1,400 for 512, and $1,600 for terabyte storage. And there's 8 gigabytes of RAM in all 4 phones, 4 models.
Yeah.
I think everybody should go out and buy one.
Okay.
And buy a new watch. I think even if you have just the 9 or even the Ultra 2, I would graduate to the Series 10.
Yeah, so this is the year to go for the watch. And if you have a 15 Pro Max, you probably can wait till next year.
It just depends on your situation. Because I'm old, I've got to buy new stuff all the time.
Year, right?
Yeah, because there's no telling when I'm going to die. I could be dead tomorrow.
But how many of the features are you using on your current phone? You've got, what is it, an i15 Pro Max?
Not very many.
Not very many.
No. Well, I shoot your birthday party, so that's the main reason to get the camera.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was almost a year ago.
She's got an annual shoot with a better camera each year.
Uh-huh.
And
all right, well, you can shoot at my birthday party this year.
I play podcasts on the phone that I listen to
while
I'm riding my bicycle.
Yeah.
And I use the watch to measure my rides and to see where I am on the ride. I control the phone with the watch.
You use it for other health reasons too, like how
measuring my sleep,
measuring
my exercises, looking at my rings. Although I'm not a daily ring guy, I use the Paceline app that requires me to exercise only 3 times a week. It rewards me for exercising 3 times a week. If I go over 3 times a week, I don't get any kind of reward, so I don't do it.
All right, good. And another recap is the camera control button. The camera control responds to clicks and different physical gestures.
The camera capture,
right?
Or camera control, rather.
Yeah, that really got your attention, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Okay, that's worth the upgrade right there.
Yes, and that's on all 4 phones. But remember, the camera on the 16 and 16 Plus is 3 years old. You're getting a really crappy camera on there compared to the cameras that are on the Pro and Pro Max. And you're getting the 5x optical zoom on both the 16 Pro as well as the 16 Pro Max. But remember, the 16 Pro Max is going to give you the biggest battery ever. It's going to be the longest battery life ever, and it's only an extra $100 or $200 extra for this Pro Max. It's worth the $200 to get all the extra features that are in the Pro Max, including battery life. Go to 80% on the Pro Max, it's like going to 100% on the Pro. Look at it that way. You can rationalize it that way.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm almost convinced. That's good.
You're almost convinced? You mean you have to be convinced?
Well, I have a 15 Pro Max.
I thought you were an annual guy too.
Well, my thing that would convince me is to give my wife the Pro Max because she likes to take photography.
Well, yeah,
a lot,
sure.
Right.
Yeah, give her the old camera.
Well,
yeah, that's a generous thing. Way to go.
Well, I'm
why
the
don't you
oldest
buy
brother
the new
of
camera? Buy the new one and give it to your.
Yeah.
Why don't you keep the old one?
And give her the new one, sure.
Yeah, give her the new one.
Yeah, she's taking better pictures than me. I will.
You can trade back and forth.
Yeah. Anyway, I kind of like the idea of the watch. I like the fact.
On the phone, by the way, the 4K video, you can do 120 frames per second now in Dolby Vision.
And slow
4K,
motion,
120 frames per second. Yeah, that would be for slow motion or just super high quality regular video.
Cinematic video has never been so available to us.
They've got spatial audio capture. They love. They're crazy about that.
Right.
There's a voice mix option where you can have music recorded and then add your voice to the recording on the recording.
That's
app
incredible.
now.
Yeah, I mean that usually takes apps.
Recording, in other words.
You actually have a recording studio built into your phone.
You can record yourself singing to some instrumental thing that you did before, and then you can eliminate the instrumental and just hear your voice singing.
Yeah, that's amazing because often we've done shoots where we had to cut out the audio in post. So
everybody should watch the Apple video too to see all this stuff, to get all this stuff understood.
Where can people see that, Taylor?
It's Apple.com or the Apple channel on YouTube. And try to listen to it in high fidelity system or through headphones.
Yeah.
Because there's a song by The Weeknd on there that's just fantastic. They show The Weeknd video being shot, and it's to a new song, which is absolutely awesome. He does an incredible song. Can't even remember the name of the song, but it's really good.
Where's that in the show?
It's in the part of the showing
near the beginning,
showing off the new 16 Pro Max.
Oh, the 16 Pro Max part. Okay, bad.
Halfway
through.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour long video.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
It was a long presentation.
So, final moments here: titanium or jet black aluminum for your watch? Where'd you go with that?
I went with Desert Titanium. It's a gold. It's a light gold. It's gold on the side and light gold on the back. It's not that shitty color that was being predicted.
Oh, okay. All right. So
it's a very light gold on the back. It's really beautiful.
Light gold.
They call it Desert Titanium.
Grade 5 titanium. Thinnest ever, brightest off angle, better speaker from what you're saying.
You can rationalize it. There's lots of ways to rationalize it. Don't worry.
Sleep apnea.
Spend the money. Spend the money. If you've got the money, spend the money. If you don't have the money, forget about it.
Okay, thanks, Taylor. Really appreciate it.
Remember, you said Friday the 13th to order,
13th.
or now on the watch.
You need a clean, pleasant space to conduct business, but you don't want the burden of a long, expensive lease. Your solution is Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Soquel Avenue. Satellite offers private offices, meeting and conference rooms, even co-working by the hour, day, week, or month. Schedule a tour at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Carly.
Thanks, Jenna. For those who wake up in the middle of the night, Treehouse suggests a THC CBN chocolate edible blend like Sleepy Time from Sensi Chew. Sleep the night away.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive in Soquel, or ourtreehouse.io.
When you need help managing the legal affairs of your family, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a prenuptial agreement or divorce settlement, need child or spousal support, or are facing custody issues or visitation rights, I will help you. I have more than 7 years' experience as a family law attorney.
When you need help, call on the Angel. Attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
The votes are in. Chef Ben here from Back 9 Grill and Bar at the Easy Off Past Tempo exit. We are so proud of our food and our service and your votes. Back 9 has been voted Santa Cruz County's best burger and best happy hour in the good times. You've heard me talking about our house ground burgers. It's time for you to come and try one so you can taste the juicy difference. And what makes our happy hour the best? You have to come and experience it yourself. See you at the 9.
Okay, connecting. Okay, we are back. We are back to the show. We kept Taylor on a little bit longer because we have Bruce McHenry in with a question for Taylor regarding some of the iPhone announcements.
A burning issue for me has been transferring media, especially just audio recordings, to the web. The question for Taylor is this. I have both Android and iPhone, and one thing that has been vastly superior on the Pixel, actually, over the iPhone, is being able to upload and then instantly upload.
What iPhone do you have? What iPhone do you have?
I have an iPhone X.
Oh, 10. That's a 10. I have a 10S Max. I had a 10S Max for 5 years. You don't want that phone. You got to get a new phone. It's too slow. It's a lightning port that runs at the speed of USB 2. It's extremely slow. You can't upload anything properly with that phone. That's the problem. That's the reason you don't want the old phones.
Well, you know, I'm an ancient goat, and if I have devices that run too quickly, then I start running too quickly.
Oh, no.
I'll die early.
No. This has nothing to do with it. How you run. It has to do with the transfer speed.
What about AirDrop? What about how fast is AirDrop?
That's still super slow. It's still like USB 2 speed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, to make my point, that's my question really. It's the Android has this instantaneous upload of your recorded audio. You record it, you go into it, you select it, and you click copy link, and boom, you've got a public link or a private link you can put up on the web. With the iPhone, it's been this process that takes me like 2 minutes to go through the upload, obtain the link, and whatever. So
that may have something to do with the app. Do they make the app for the iPhone as well as the Android that you're using?
This is built into the Pixel. I don't play with craplet phones. I just use the Pixel.
Well, then maybe you're a Pixel guy. Maybe you're an Android guy. Maybe you're not an Apple guy.
I'm planning to develop
with that old phone. You're not an Apple guy. That's too old.
I do girls and I do guys and I do iPhone.
Listen, you can't even put iOS 18 on the phone that you have. You have to have a 10S minimum to put the iOS 18, which we didn't talk about. Remember, iOS 18 comes out next Monday, the 16th of September, by the way, everybody that's listening right now.
Right, everyone's on iOS 17 now.
Yeah, we're on 17 and we're going to 18 on Monday.
I know.
And you can't do that on your phone. That's because you got a phone that's too old. It's dated.
Really? The X can't take 18?
No,
really?
You have to have 10. It's not an X, it's a 10.
Oh.
You have to have 10S. 10S or 10S Max, which is what I have had for 5 years. But remember, it's got a lightning port. You don't want that lightning port. If you're an Apple guy, get the new 16 Pro Max. If you're not, enjoy a Pixel. It's a lovely, lovely phone, I'm sure.
Well, as soon as the venture capitalists kick in some do-re-mi, I'll buy one.
Okay. I wanted to mention that there's hardware ray tracing on the 16 Pro Max because gamers care about that stuff.
Yeah, better visuals. Huh?
It's hardware ray tracing. It's 5 times faster than software ray tracing. It's going to be fantastic for that.
Now, is that just good for the screen on the phone, or is it also good if you AirPlay it to a television, a big screen?
I'm sure it would replicate whatever you're seeing on the phone shows up on the TV. There's no difference there, as far as I can tell.
In terms of using the ray tracing.
Yeah, well, it's something, if you're playing the game on the phone, you get the hardware ray tracing instead of software ray tracing, so it's much more responsive.
It's the screen on the phone that gets the advantage of the ray tracing.
It'll show on the TV, too, if you got a decent TV.
Okay.
It's all happening in the phone.
Right, so the phone
I'm
is
talking about
driving it faster.
the A18 processor.
Right, okay.
Now, remember, everybody, if this is real time, if this is September 6th, 10th, or 11th, or 12th, On Friday the 13th, you can, between now and then, you can pre-order, you can set up the order on the Apple Store app. You can just go in there and it'll let you set up the entire order. You choose exactly what kind of phone you want. You want Apple Care, which I do recommend you get, and how you're going to pay for it and everything. That can all be preset so that when you go in on 5 o'clock on Friday the 13th, you got to be there 5 o'clock because you might not get your phone on Friday the 20th if you snooze.
All right, I got you.
So
you might have to wait a little bit longer. Okay, Taylor.
Yeah, you might have to wait a little bit longer, or you might have to go to a store. Anyway,
very good.
The point is that you set that all up so it's only a couple of button pushes to finish the order.
Make it easy.
Last year that didn't work. I set it up ahead of time. It didn't work. It was faster for me to just start over, and I got the order in about 5:15 and had the phone on time.
Okay, good. Well, let me know let me know. Bobby's disappeared somewhere. Maybe he'll show up.
Oh,
again.
the 48 megapixel ultra wide lens on the back of the Pro Max, by the way, 660 Pro Max, 48 megapixels instead of 12. Big, huge improvement in the
48. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. A 48 megapixel. I remember that used to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, it is on a phone.
12 used to be a big deal. That's
48 was, I remember. 1 was a big deal. I remember a desktop video. Whoa, we can even look at postage size video.
Yes, I remember the little postage stamp size QuickTime videos.
That was a breakthrough.
That was a breakthrough. Mac 2.
Right. And Mac 2s, right. With cards that plugged in.
We saw a moving video in a little 1-inch square.
I know.
Wow.
All in our lifetime.
How did they do that?
Yeah, the first episode of Mondo 2000, the magazine. We have a big report on all this stuff.
There's 16 core.
Taylor and I.
The neural engine on the A15 Pro, A18 and 18 Pro is 16 core neural engine, and that's the AI part. That's really good for that. It runs at 35 trillion operations per second.
I know.
Can you
I believe it.
In that?
It's
35 trillion operations per second.
It's crazy.
In your hand.
Yeah.
In your hand. It makes the old, what were those big mainframes that everybody bragged about? What they called them supercomputers. And now what you're holding in your hand is makes that thing look ridiculous.
Cray computers, giant
Cray. Yes, the Cray, exactly, the Cray supercomputer.
Yeah, thank you, AI.
All right.
Yeah, it didn't want me to know. It didn't. It knew those things.
I'm worn out my welcome.
Yeah,
I hope everybody enjoys their new phones and their new watches because it's going to be a great year, and we're going to have President Kamala Harris in January. It couldn't be more exciting. And we're going to watch.
We're going to watch the debate. Yeah, it's only 4 hours away. Less than that, even. We're
going to watch
3 hours and 45 minutes.
He's going to go to jail. Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, Trump gets convicted on the 20th.
He's definitely. He's not done being convicted. He's going to be convicted a whole lot more, and he's going to get a lot of years.
You sound too gleeful to be good.
Oh, I'm so thrilled.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Kamala is going to be one of the great presidents of our life. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
I can't.
I like the way
enough.
she interacts with the audience.
I think she's better than Obama. I love her.
People are crying when they're talking to her. It's remarkable. She really brings out the compassion, empathy in people, which is
amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Okay, everybody enjoy your phones and watches.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy your day. Have a great bike ride, and thanks for the download.
Thank you for having me.
Getting in light on Friday the 13th. Good luck
love
day.
You all.
Good luck. I love you too, brother. Take it easy. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Now, this news report from KSBW was kind of interesting. Let me play you a minute of this.
Leading to a feeding frenzy.
Birds have been loving it. The seals have been loving it.
This is the anchovy
it brings out a lot of people. People love to eat anchovies, so they're out here fishing for them. Other fish are swimming around with these fish too, and everybody's eating. Everybody's having a good time.
But there's concern the anchovies could lead to bad times. As sea lions and seabirds feast on the silver bait fish, the harbor master is concerned so many anchovies could lead to a large die-off.
Yeah, an anchovy die-off in the harbor has very big consequences for us. It pollutes the water so that the bottom paint on the boat gets eroded. And then we've got a lot of restaurants in the harbor that would have to deal with the smell of the dead anchovies.
Too many anchovies can deplete the oxygen levels in the harbor, and the fish can begin to suffocate. The solution, these aerators that pump air into the harbor.
So the aerators are there to hopefully keep the oxygen levels up in the harbor to support the anchovies. there can be so many anchovies in the harbor that they start using up all the oxygen. So kind of like your fish tank at home that has the little aeration bubbles to keep the fish alive.
Yeah, there's so many anchovies out there. You might see the feeding frenzy. If you have any view of the sea, you'll see that it's going to be quite incredible. Right? So that's an interesting story. Last time an anchovy die-off happened in Santa Cruz, it was 2014. And I must say, it left a big stink for days. They took out 120 tons of dead anchovies. 120 tons, can you believe it? So why are they so close to shore? They don't really know. Maybe large sea predators are pushing the anchovies close, or there might be low oxygen levels in the bay. It's hard to say. Either way, they're hoping that the anchovies will go back to the open water. In the meantime, our sea lions and our birds are feasting away on anchovies. Birds especially, they love it. And seals, And they also create these great gatherings. You see all these different creatures feeding out there. It's kind of fun to see that. Really interesting. Check out our links page, drfutureshow.com/links. I have a number of stories there that I put up every week that I think are interesting, that might make you think more about the nature of reality. As we have better tools for exploring what is, we're finding more and more things that are very unusual, and some new inventions that are quite fascinating. There's been a physics breakthrough that brings an atomic nuclear clock even more accurate. Not that we needed, that much accuracy to begin with. For most of us, we don't need more than a second or so. I have an atomic clock in front of me, and maybe a second is what I can pay attention to. My reaction times to things is about 250 milliseconds for my nervous system. But our scientists have developed a technique that can elevate the accuracy to even more. Now, what's interesting about atomic clocks is that they span a second through energy jumps in the atom's electrons. In atomic clocks, the signals that excite the atoms oscillate at billions of times per second. Well, recently they developed a technique that can elevate this by measuring the oscillations in an even trickier part, the atom's nucleus itself.
Oh.
So you stimulate the atom's nucleus. And to do that, the scientists used UV light to excite nuclear particles in an atom of thorium-229 embedded in a solid crystal. And then they measured the frequency of the energy pulsing that affected the nucleus. It's kind of like a pendulum in a regular clock. And they did that by counting the waves in the UV signal using an optical frequency comb. Fascinating. Big article this week in Science. Just search for nuclear clocks, timekeeping, and you'll find it. But go to drfutureshow.com/links and you can read all about it. A fungus learning how to control robots. But it brings in a big issue of how much we should allow other species to control our technology. In this case, a biohybrid robot are learning to be controlled by a fungus. The fungus knows how to survive in extreme conditions, including radiation. So these scientists from Cornell in New York have built 2 new robots. One's actually a soft spider robot. The other is a wheeled robot. The fungus controls them both. They call them biohybrid robots. It's a combination of living systems and robotics, or our technology. They're complicated, they're sensitive in terms of what fungus pay attention to. Funguses are easily cultured and can be made so that they can survive in extreme conditions. By looking at their electrical signals that they're generating internally, there's researchers have discovered a new way of controlling the robots that react to the environment better than what our sensors tell the robots to do. The fungi are basically biological sensors for what's actually going on. They can sense chemical and biological information. By growing them into the electronics of a robot, Dr. Rob Shepard, a professor of mechanical and aerospace engineering at Cornell, was able to allow the biohybrid machine to respond to the environment. In this case, they were using light for doing it. In the future, there'll be chemical connections. The robots will be able to sense soil chemistry and crops and see which rows need more fertilizer, and they can maybe even stop problems like algae blooms that often happen that can affect water supply. So agriculture is one industry that'll benefit from fungus robots. It's unbelievable, what we're thinking up. But it's truly a magical time where there are lots of new inventions that most people are not aware of yet, and yet could affect our lives in profound ways in the very near future. We're going to talk to Bruce McHenry. He's been involved with a new open source media project that I think is worthy of our attention. But before we go to him, there's Mrs. Future coming back online there. I can see she is showing me a picture of herself in the foam of a Guinness beer. That's her background as she's listening in the middle of the night. The Guinness Beer Factory was another tour of Ireland. That was, the Guinness storehouse. They give you a tour of the factory there. Now, if any of you like to look up in the sky, NASA has a solar sail spacecraft that is visible in the night sky. It's a solar sail that's orbiting the Earth, and it was launched last April atop of a Rocket Lab Electron rocket, and its mission was designed to test solar sail technology. NASA was looking at how to use solar sails on larger ships. They're very similar to nautical sails, but instead of being pushed by the wind, they're impacted by the pressure of sunlight, and its photons bounce off the reflective material that they're made from. So you'll be able to see this spacecraft in space if you have a pair of binoculars. You'll be able to look at that and see this solar sail. There's an app also that's available from the App Store. Get the official NASA app, and you'll be able to see where in your sky, from wherever you are, where it is and what it looks like. So that's the NASA solar sail spacecraft, one of the first of its design that's out there. We have Bruce McHenry, who's coming on next. Bruce is a friend that's he's a graduate of MIT, has been involved with many things in his life. He's a Renaissance person in so many levels. One of the areas that we've discussed with him in the past has been his passion with the future of transportation and how transportation could evolve. Welcome, Bruce, to the show. I understand you're an open source project that you'd like to share with us.
Yes, I've been thinking about generally this area of communications. It's what motivated my decision to major in computer science and not molecular biology back at MIT. And I did so because, of course, my parents were very much affected by World War II, and I just barely missed the Vietnam draft. So I sat back after 4 years of bumping around MIT and decided to major in computer science because I thought this is our best chance to prevent global nuclear war by bringing people together so that it makes it impossible for the leaders to essentially subvert.
Well, we're dealing with an era, but how do you deal with the era now where we have the ability to fake anything? We can create fake news on a whim, including cloning of voices. Voice cloning images now are becoming easily made and controlled by anybody. X has created new software that doesn't have any guardrails on it, that you can play with it with famous people. And how does an open source affect any of that?
That reminds me of a saying that I can't quote exactly, which goes, mediocre people only talk about themselves, average people talk about each other, and superior people talk about ideas.
Okay.
So whether there's video of XYZ doing ABC, who that cares? We're trying to figure out how to evolve ourselves. That's in our personal lives, doesn't have to be on the net. Mm-hmm. And we want a global mind that helps us to get on the same page and take everybody forward as quickly as possible, because it's exciting to see what's out there, what can happen. And of course, we've all benefited hugely from the technological advances.
It seems to push the social advances. It seems like the technology pushes us.
Absolutely. It is the only thing that consistently and reliably advances human civilization.
You're seeing that we can push social media to a new paradigm, one that's a little more equitable, then we'll all go forward from that.
Well, the problem we have here, there are two things.
Yeah.
We used to have a newspaper of record for the country, New York Times.
Yeah.
Now it's down to what, 8 million subscribers? When Elon Musk gets 20 million for his Trump interview?
Yeah, it's decentralized or fractalized, depending on how you look at it. Yeah?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing, is that we need to be able to get on the same page at the same time, but we also need to have like a Wikipedia that's a evolving resource of the best in the state of the art of knowledge that we can contribute to and vote on and participate in and get our perspective on in our language, whether it's French or Spanish or kindergartenese.
Do you use Wikipedia? I mean, what's wrong with that as a social media? It's a fairly...
Wikipedia's got a lot of problems. And when I first really came aware of it, I was living in Cambridge and close to the Harvard Berkman School, which had internet sessions. And Jimbo Wales showed up for one of those. So I got to meet him and talk to him. And of course, he's not a software guy. His first instantiation of Wikipedia was a classic model of, let's put it up there and have some editors work on it. And then they came up with like 18 articles, and then it just wasn't working. That they fell upon, actually, I think his partner found Cunningham's work on the wiki software. And so he just ported that over and created an administrative set of rules around it, and boom, it took off. But it has problems. It has huge problems if you're participating in editing in that space, and I did a little bit with the Future of Cars issue. And what you have is a bunch of 20-somethings who been through college, and what they've learned really well is to copy things and to certify that they saw it in Time magazine.
Yeah, I mean, authentic and what's true becomes almost impossible today if you look at through external sources, no matter what, it seems to me. Except maybe, well, I guess it's kind of like when you're talking to someone in person, you don't know if necessarily they're telling the truth or not. It's the same thing now with the media. You don't know if it's necessarily, and the New York Times doesn't have the reputation that it had. How can anyone develop a reputation anymore, even, that is suggesting it's true? And PolitiFact gets in trouble. Snopes has been accused of being biased. All these things are up for reconsideration as to what might be a better model. Maybe looking for the truth isn't what we need.
Well, excellent. Thank you for bringing that question up, because I just occurred to me a little innovation on what I was thinking, which is we really need to build a way to reward people for being accurate, telling the truth, putting out valuable stuff, whether they're scientific researchers or investigative journalists.
Or in social media, you get likes and such.
Look, social media is a conversation that, for the most part, they're not contributing anything to the global mind.
I don't know. I mean, I post stuff on Facebook, and I get a few dozen people that like it. Yeah, I mean, not a huge, but it's people I care about, very often. When I see them, they kind of have a thumbnail update as to what my life is about or what I've been doing. And it helps. It allows us to go another level deeper in our actual conversations, because I don't have to get into all this background. I find that valuable. I like to see who knows who. I have a new friend that's coming online, or somebody I'm considering to be a friend. I like to see who they know and in relation to who I know. And the media allows me to do that, which it's something, I mean, it could be better, but I appreciate that aspect of it.
Absolutely. But you are talking about personal lives and relationships, not ideas and issues that move the nation, like who the hell murdered Navalny, right?
Okay, you want a deep place where you can really explore the deeper stuff and the ideas, as you were saying. What's the closest that you've seen so far for that kind of activity that you use?
I just a couple of weeks ago discovered this new thing, this meeting. It's actually had 3 or 4 meetings, I think, already.
Yeah.
That started last year, but I just got cued into it. It's called FediForum.com, FediForum. They're having a meeting actually starting on the 12th for 3 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, up in 8 to 2 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, FediForum, FediForum.
FEDI Forum,
Okay.
all online. And it's amorphous to me right now, but they're saying the right kinds of things, and it's starting to seem like a place where this could start to come together, which is what I'm looking for here is really the next instantiation of the guts of the internet, which you would consider to be Facebook, Twitter,
Yeah, or Internet
You know,
3.0,
running on-
or there's it reminds me. I ran into a guy named Dan Mapes. I've known Dan for a long time, who's a visionary in this field, and you might enjoy talking to him. He has been looking at this in relation to what they call the spatial web. The spatial web is the next generation internet that involves the recreation of spaces, not just content per se, but spaces in which content can happen, which he says is hand in hand. It's the environment and the organisms in the environment that create reality. So the internet will be embracing both, and you'll be able to have real conversations with people that may be remote, but it looks like they're together, not just in a Hollywood Squares box like we are here with Zoom. It's more immersive media, more 3D, more spatial audio, all that sort of thing. So that seems to be an opportunity as we shift from the flat panel to the full 3D motion model of media, that's the time to implement some new ideas in its infrastructure to move it forward. From where it is now.
It seems to me like those could certainly, that in terms of generating the user interface, that would be great.
Yeah, including financial elements, how that works. And
well, it reminds me of something that I've been missing for 20 years and had 20 years ago, and it went away.
Yeah.
Which was, I used to be able to spread my contacts out in Microsoft Office on notes, and they would retain their position. So I could group things logically, and it would be kind of like this noosphere. There's an app that does this too.
Yeah.
But very few people who are just dedicated to using that.
No, it's a very valid thing. I've known some geniuses over the years, like I think Ted Nelson, Xanadu, Project Xanadu, an alternative to the internet. He used to put Post-its all over his house. And the location of the Post-its was as important as the content on them. They kind of, like he had a wall for different types of thoughts, different walls for different things.
Yeah, Ted is a wonderful, crazy guy who unfortunately never managed to make a success of Xanadu.
Well, it's the way it is. I mean, so many of us have had better ideas than what actually got implemented. It's often the ones that got implemented are not necessarily the best ideas. Like, for example, Google Earth. We had a group in Santa Cruz that had a version of Google Earth that was far superior in so many respects. But the Google Earth that happened was the one that was developed not by Santa Cruz, but by the CIA. And the CIA model was the one that they implemented for some reason. So, yes, there's a lot of parallel developments. I understand that's happened with the telephone as well, or television. And
what did the CIA take out of the better?
Well, what they're doing with the Google Earth is allowing you to put your pictures in it, for one thing. So it allows them to collect information on a very granular scale. And it allows them to also see what you're searching, what you're looking for on Google Earth. And that kind of gives them an idea of interests, where people are at, without having to poll them like the popular press does. And the polling, exit polls and all that, are known huge errors in those. But you're getting actual data, what eyeballs are actually doing. You're going to know more what's actually going on, don't you think? Maybe we should have access to that information ourselves.
Well, yeah, if the government has access to it, we probably should have access to it too.
Well, governments are us, right? I mean, it's far.
Not always, but very often. I mean, there are some.
But maybe,
cases, obviously.
But maybe there could be a version of these programs where the data that they give to advertisers, they give to us directly, so we know what the demographics are and what they're saying.
That for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I think advertising has diminished in importance as a means of funding.
Yeah.
Media.
How are these guys going to do it then? Doesn't Google depend on ads?
Well, it does. But waiting for was on tenterhooks. I was hoping that the guy who developed Waze and sold it to Google and then got employed for Google for a while and then left was going to work on consolidating access to all of the newspapers and media and everything that are subscription-based, so that you could pay one fee and it would be distributed to the sources that you actually read. Why is that taking so long to happen?
I guess they're trying to monetize it. Apple does aggregation. You pay $30 a month, $35 a month, and you get a subscription to 100 magazines.
Yeah.
But they figured out how to monetize it. I don't know how much they pay these magazines, but probably it's based on usage, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal doesn't have that much faith in its correspondents that they're willing to part out their journals on a piecemeal basis. Probably the journalists would just accelerate the departures from those organizations.
Yeah, there's a lot of indie thinking on this. There's some new, the equivalent of YouTubes that are, say, for documentary filmmakers. I think Curiosity Channel kind of represents a little bit of that, and others. And they actually are into revenue sharing based on views for the documentary filmmakers, which I think is a step in the right direction for this.
Absolutely.
It's a real different model than what Netflix is using.
Absolutely. And they should be able to get compensated for likes on the promos for those documentaries as well as the full-length ones.
Exactly.
That should all be folded in a way that is almost seamless to the consumer and where redistribution of your monthly payment.
I would say a lot of people would like to be able to do their passion, if it's documentary filmmaking, and actually make a living at it. And I think it's possible, but it requires some of the things that are currently are not available to us, but are available to the companies that run these things. Like, for example, a YouTube. I had a video that started to go viral, and it suddenly went from a few dozen views of my friends to thousands, and then it suddenly stopped. It's just like peaked out like at 30,000 and then just stopped. I'm like one day. And I said, how is that real? Right? How is that actually real? What did the algorithm, why was I suddenly stopped? Yeah. And then I look at it and, okay, I had some controversial content in it. I was talking about aliens and ayahuasca, in a short video. And I said, that's interesting. Maybe somebody took offense to this that runs YouTube. Or the algorithm has a analysis that looks at content and determines what's good and what's bad and what's allowed and what's not. Those filters, it would be nice for us to have control over those a little bit, or allow more freedom of expression along those lines.
Damn right. I mean, you spent a lot of time investing yourself in building an audience, and then they just throttle it.
They cut it off, yeah. And if they decide something is not monetizable. There's certain things, like I see a lot of independent researchers using YouTube to get an audience, but then they put the real stuff, the deeper information, on other sites like Rumble, or they go to places where they have the freedom of expression that YouTube won't give them. But YouTube has the advantage of getting you eyeballs, getting you an audience.
Right. And once you built up, several thousand Facebook followers, as I had back in 2015, and I used a banned word, and boom, my distribution dropped by 90%.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
word.
It's control.
One word.
Yeah, I found out during the pandemic that if I mentioned any words related to the pandemic, it would get deleted and I would get points taken off for that. I couldn't mention COVID, for example, in a title of a YouTube video. Only certain sanctioned people were allowed to use that word. I think Facebook has been getting in trouble over that too.
Right.
And not just articles. I mean, we had for example, on the COVID issue, the vaccine stuff, we had a spirited dialogue in our community. And these are the issues that have split our community, I might add. The whole issue of vax versus not vaxxed. Huge numbers of people on both sides of our community stopped seeing each other. Social isolation, or social disdainment almost. It's very amazing how an issue like that can do that. And when we started to have a conversation of both sides on Facebook, it was deleted after about a week by Facebook. So what were they thinking? Both sides were being represented.
Right.
So in terms of freedom of media, those things matter.
Right. So as an engineer, I'm going back to like the origins of all of this, back to the early 80s when I'm looking at things, the future of what things could be.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of that's been realized. But now we see this problem with censorship, and there's a technical solution to it. It's not absolutely hard and fast, but it will change the nature of it so that the government can't just go to one place like Facebook and throttle it. It'll be more like a game of whack-a-mole where it just appears, and it could appear in a million different places and slightly different variations, and people will just be smarter in the government, and they won't be able to control it.
Yeah.
And so in order to make it a whack-a-mole game, we need to move the serving of our content into our personal devices, our PCs, our phones, incredibly powerful devices.
So how would that look as an end user? What would your experience be like?
Quite similar to what you're seeing today, although I would like to offer a subscription option so that we can pay people for delivering content.
Yeah, it does come out. It's either advertising or subscription models.
Right. Well, advertising is the people who are serving content will still be free, can still be free to put advertising from their server. But of course, people are going to start discriminating against their server if they're paying for content, because that's going to be the better quality, less noisy content. So there's that. But that's, of course, a very difficult technical problem. We're going to have a distributed database. It's impossible to maintain perfect consistency in a distributed database, but it's a social network, so it doesn't really matter that much as far as that part goes. Basically, your device goes out and says, what's going on with Al today? And you get back Al's posts, and so on and so forth. And you have real control. You get to get your device to go out and reach out to the friends you want to talk to.
Yeah.
And of course, the exciting things might move a little bit more slowly throughout the network, but that might not be a bad thing.
No.
Of course, if you want to tune into, back on to C-SPAN, you can do that. I'm sorry, CNN, whatever. Nobody watches C-SPAN.
Well, the AIs watch it, and we'll give you a nice Cliff Notes version.
I used to watch it all the time, but the live feed, you need to pay for a network, a cable connection. I don't think they offer an independent subscription to C-SPAN that's not through a cable subscription.
I haven't seen it. Well, what do you think of Elon Musk and X and that whole supposedly more?
Well, I guess the first thing I'd say about Elon is that if you're an Elon hater, that doesn't make you better than him.
Yeah.
Incredibly impressive guy. I, in the transportation space, was very skeptical, back when he was just playing with that Lotus that he put an electric engine in and batteries in.
Yeah.
Because that thing was a piece of junk. But as he got really building electric cars that worked, it was really impressive. And the stock price movement just shocked the living daylights out of me. There you go. And I can't say anything bad about him. I did meet him after he gave his tearful story about how he was almost bankrupted in 2008, his talk that he would give.
So everything turned around. Yeah.
And I asked him about this area that I've been specializing in for 10 years, which is building road vehicles that mechanically couple to each other and form trains, whether they're bus modules or they're individual cars.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. They combine and separate depending on where they're going. Yeah.
Right. My partner, former employee, Tommaso Gekkeling in Italy, he's got EU support now. He's up around the $3 million level over 10 years to build the buses, which are little bus modules that do a couple of stops and then join the bus train as it goes past, that should get continuous greens on an El Camino from San Jose to San Francisco and be just as fast as the local Caltrain. With much more frequent service, anyway. On and on.
Yeah, well, it's heading. I mean, actually, I think transportation is probably the next big area to revolutionize. It seems like the communications, which we've been talking about, is packet switching technology has really made a difference. And now that we're using a lot of computerized systems for moving autonomous vehicles around, it looks like packet switching is becoming part of the transportation world rather significantly.
Well, it would be packet switching in terms of these buses, but also in terms of the cars.
Yeah, so it should be as fluid and as cheap as the internet ultimately, where it's easy to go from place to place.
Yeah, down to the brass tacks of the technicals. You want to make electric cars that are able to couple to each other and form trains for a few reasons. One is that on the roads that never get electrified or haven't been electrified, rural areas particularly, in the long run, you want to be able to couple up mechanically to a lead locomotive with a conventional engine that can recharge your battery and pull you along.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be putting a half ton of batteries in every car.
It seems a waste,
That's lossage.
Yeah.
That much battery in every car.
Right.
It makes them heavier than conventional cars.
Well, there's the idea of putting the electrification in the infrastructure one way or another. I guess, where the roads, solar freaking highways.
That's just one part. The other part, there are two parts: electrification, make them form into trains.
Yeah.
And the third part is put a steel rail down the middle of the lane, so that you can have pneumatic tires in front, retract your front tires, and you settle down on a steel wheel that's flangeless, and it balances on this center steel rail that's like a rail embedded for tram lines, in the city, just a little bit above the asphalt. And on that, you'd be able to go very smoothly and very efficiently. And you'd be looking at getting down to Los Angeles overnight while you're sleeping comfortably on about a 1 gallon equivalent of energy. So we're looking about 500 mpge.
And then that's with the smart trains.
With cars that are aerodynamically streamlined and that are rolling long distances on the steel wheel at 1/10 of the rolling resistance.
So I think the closest I've seen to that is car trains, where you move your car into a train like a ferry.
Yeah, well, I mean...
That's the modern simplistic version of this, but this would be much more efficient. I guess you're maintaining the personal freedom that a car represents, being able to go anytime, anywhere, any place, and then leaving the house and then joining a train and then separating out and becoming an individual again when you get to your destination, right?
Exactly. That's all totally winning. Now we just have to combine it with the energy efficiency of trains.
And make the energy efficiency of trains advantage, especially with the taxing we're putting on the grid right now, which is getting to be ridiculous with all the individual electric cars sucking more power than ever.
Well, if we do electrify the highways, we still have the duck curve to address.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a lot of early morning rush hour traffic, but in the wintertime, it's not going to be getting much solar power. And, so we do need to have storage.
Mm-hmm.
Liquid metal batteries is a sleeper technology that seems like the right way to go for grid level storage. That company's still working on bringing it out. We'll see.
What about the 1,000-kilometer battery?
Well, this is cool that it's able to do it, but we're still talking about a very substantial increase in cost and weight.
Still heavy, even though lithium batteries are better all the time. They're still...
Absolutely. Look, these electric cars are heavier than equivalent combustion cars.
Mm-hmm. I guess
heavier than a combustion engine.
Was there any evidence in the past that we had figured this out, like electric trolleys in cities? And there was an attempt of distributed...
No, not really. I mean, the thing that really astonishes me is that this idea of modules that join the passing train that doesn't stop has never been implemented in any regular rail system anywhere in the world.
So it's still a novel idea in terms of never been implemented yet. Interesting.
Yeah. But if we could just go back for a second to what we were going to talk about today, there's one point that I absolutely want to make about these systems is that non-censorability is the key thing. And that includes that people can't do what a lot of people do on the internet, on Facebook and whatnot. It gives them the ability to shut down people who have made contributions that they don't like.
That's the fundamental issues of free speech.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
And so that means that, if you got some piece of major media from any source, people have to come to the realization that, well, if it's being published on a platform that allows the creator to suppress dissent, then I don't believe it. People have to say, all these conventional platforms, everything we've got now, not interested. I'm moving over to this platform, which is open source and which is where I know that if there's a significant issue about something, I'm going to see a little red dot, or I'm going to hear a cough or a buzz or something to let me know that I may be listening to a cult leader.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do with all the trolls then? One solution that's what they do, is that they censor out the trolls they try to, but they go too far. The algorithms don't get it right most of the time, or a lot of the time. Well, one solution is to have a troll room. I've seen Dvorak and Curry do that on No Agenda. That seems to work. It gives the trolls somebody to talk to, i.e. their own kind, who want to constantly badger or criticize. Or
the trolls can have a certain voice that identifies their community, or a certain color as the video goes by, or something. So they'll be able to group themselves, but just to let everybody know that they're there.
Yeah, they're there. That's right. They want to be identified as being there, for sure. So in the last minute, where can people go to find out more about this?
FediForum.com is the meeting that's coming right up.
Okay, that's Fedi, FEDI,
FEDIFORUM.com is the meeting that's coming up. Okay. My page of reference is on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Bruce.McHenry.
Bruce.McHenry.
Yeah, and It's mainly right now local issues. I've been working for the last 10 years on developing my skills of representing myself in a courtroom. So I've been pretty deep into that and kind of local conflicts.
FediForum.com. Bye for now. Thanks
Yes.
again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Future's calling me.